It's Wednesday. It's Mark Pyers.
I was walking down the
And
road today,
it's Renaissance Man.
another way.
I'm here
Ease my mind
to ease my mind and help my living. It's Renaissance Man. It's daily variety show Mark Pyers, Renaissance Man. I'm here to connect with you, to amplify your current state. And I'm here with you on day 1,234 in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Woo! What's that, Joanne? No, I know, Joanne. It's a big night. Such a big night. We have a special show for you. My brother, our family member, Phil Hall, journalist for Benzinga and so much more, is joining us for a conversation here, Renaissance Man style. So what I'm going to do right this second is bring our brother on here and let's make some magic happen. Let's see. First and foremost, we got to go in here. And, oh, there we go. Phil is joining the show while I'm bringing him in on the back end. Zabrowski, you may not be giving us a woo-woo today. I'm not really sure. Phil Hall, my brother, are you there? Let me see if I can get you to dial in. I think I have to turn the music down. Zabrowski, you're going to have to get us later on the woohoo. Sorry, buddy. Let's see. I'm going to ask Phil to throw on some volume.
Hello?
And there he is. I gotta see you, though. Where are you, Phil? There he is.
Hey!
You got that special tie. I love it. Is that the Texas going out to the rodeo tie?
Yeah.
Phil Hall, guys. Our brother. He's here with us. How are you, pal?
Copacetic. So happy to be here finally after, what is it, 1,234 shows. I'm finally on the show.
I know. It's amazing. And I'm so happy that I found the photo from when you had me on Nutmeg Chatter for our thumbnail for tonight. So it's a real pleasure to get you on, buddy. Especially we have always been supporting each other, in our endeavors. But I've always wanted to have you on because I see you similar to me. You're always looking for something creative to offer to society and to also I think I'd love to have you talk a little more about some of the stories you've written, but I think we talked about this kind of in text earlier. These Zooms only get to be 40 minutes, I think now. They made this weird thing. I haven't gone pro yet. I have to do that. But also, I want to do this and make this a regular thing where we have Phil come on and we talk about a story that he's put out there. And the one we're talking about today is the top 10 landmark UFO stories. And
Right.
I'm really excited to get Phil on to talk about this. I don't know how it's going to work. I don't know if I can put that up on the screen or something, Phil, for us to look at. But I think you are able to, you have it on your screen, right?
I have it on my screen here. It's actually, the article was written for Benzinga,
Yep.
which is one of the websites I write for. And so if you're not a Benzinga reader, shame on you, but that's okay, because by the end of the evening, hopefully you will be.
Exactly.
It is about the 10 landmark UFO moments. And this was tied into the congressional hearing that went on earlier this week about UFOs and the U.S. Military. And, it's funny because I have to prefix this by saying I actually saw not just one, not just two, but 3 UFOs when I was a little boy.
Oh, Phil, that's what I want to talk about. Forget about the article. Let's talk about.
Forget about Benzinga. Sorry, Raz. But anyway, when I was 10 years old, I'm originally from the Bronx, New York, or the Bronx, as we would say it back in the hood.
The Bronx.
And when I was 10, which was in the 1970s, I was living in an apartment building in the Bronx on the 4th floor of a 7-story building. And one night I looked out my bedroom window and I saw 3 lights in the evening sky moving in perfect vertical formation through the sky.
Wow.
I was like, what? Now, if you were back in the 70s when I was a kid, you would have known that there was UFOs all over the place. You couldn't turn on the TV or open a newspaper or magazine without seeing something about UFOs. And little me in the Bronx saw not just one, but 3 of them going through the night sky. And it's like, wow. And since then, I have no idea what it was because airplanes don't fly in perfect vertical formation up through the sky. But whatever it was. And I've always been fascinated by UFOs since then. And when there was the congressional hearing this week about the military and UFO, they don't call them UFOs anymore. They call them something else, some other euphemism, because I think
UAP.
UFOs, people think they're silly, but
Yeah,
they're not.
UAP now is what they say.
And so at Benzinga, they sort of let me do silly stories. And this was the one about landmark achievements in UFO history, particularly in the US. And it's funny because UFOs have been part of the American experience since the Pilgrims were here, because the first recorded UFO was actually in 1639.
Really?
In Massachusetts colony. John Winthrop was the governor of the colony at the time, and he wrote something in his diary. Apparently, there were three men one night. They were out in a boat on a river. Why three men were in a boat on a river in the middle of the night, who knows? But anyway, they were in a boat, and they saw this strange light, and it was moving at quite a speed. In fact, I didn't commit it to memory, but I have it on screen, so I'm going to read exactly what Winthrop wrote.
Yeah, let's hear it.
And he said, okay, this is why I'm not making eye contact, because I'm reading the screen. It says, when it stood still, it flamed up and was about 3 yards square. When it ran, it was contracted into a figure of a swine. Diverse other persons saw the light, same light, after about the same place. And what was interesting is that these three guys who were in the boat in the middle of the night in Pilgrim, Massachusetts, apparently they blacked out, and then they found themselves about a mile upstream, and they couldn't figure out how they got up there because they didn't need to be there. They didn't paddle up there. And a lot of UFO scholars think this might have been the first recorded instance of a UFO abduction.
Wow.
So shout out to the Pilgrims. There was a lot more to them than Thanksgiving dinner. They were
they were the first of their kind, literally.
Dealing with the folks from up there.
Wow. You know what? I have to say, there's been a few things I can't explain. You know, up on Route 8, there's always a lot of chatter about stuff on Route 8. And I was coming back from a golf tournament when I was 28, I think right before I was getting married, and I called my wife, or maybe I was married already, 29, whatever it was. I'm driving, and it's nighttime, and I look up to my right, and I was on the phone with my wife at the time, and I look up, and I see right over the tree line. This is right coming down Route 8. You know that beautiful water that you're going down it's gorgeous there. But I look over the tree line and I see the moon. And I'm like, wow, that moon's huge. It's right over the trees. And then I look up through my sunroof and I see, no, that's the moon. So the moon was like up there in the sky, and this was something else over the trees. So now I'm talking to my wife and I'm like, there's something over the trees right now. And I swear, as I'm looking at it, it disappeared. Now it looked to me like the light went off. It was that quick. And I think my eyes weren't fast enough to see it go. It went backwards and took off, but it looked like the light just shut off. And it was such a freaky thing for me. And the only other thing I remember is in Fairfield here, I was in my first house and I'm looking up at the sky one night. I used to have this really cool camera. It was a 5D Mark III, which is a great Canon camera. I had all these extensions so I could go up to 2,000 millimeters, I think it was. So I was getting shots of the moon. And one night I just said to myself, I wonder if I just look around in the sky if I could find anything. And what I did was I started looking around and just kind of not looking direct. You ever done this where you're kind of looking periphery? And I'm looking around in my periphery and I start seeing like this worm-like detail in a few areas in the sky. And this is not just one. And like almost to your point, where this is multiple areas in the sky where I could see stuff going like this.
Uh-huh. Well, you see, the interesting thing about this is for our listeners who don't know what Route 8 is, we're in Connecticut. Mark and I live in the state of Connecticut. And there actually is a lot of UFO activity above the skies here in Connecticut, which is why when I was a child in the Bronx, it was interesting because UFOs don't go to the Bronx. I mean, what self-respecting alien's going to land his spaceship in the Bronx? His hubcaps are going to be stolen or he's going to be mugged. So
they're going to Arthur.
They're in the suburbs. They're not in the inner cities. You'll never find the UFOs there.
Yeah,
in fact, actually, it's funny because doing research for this Benzinga article I did, the first time that a UFO was actually mentioned in the media was in Denison, Texas, in 1878. There was a newspaper out there called the Denison Daily News. And there was I'm reading from a screen here, which is why I'm not making eye contact. And it said, It was a farmer named John Martin who saw a circular object, which he said was moving at, quote, wonderful speed across the sky. And he described it as being saucer shaped, but he didn't actually invent the expression flying saucer. That came later. So we're going back to 1878 in rural Texas, and these things were flying about back then. So this isn't a recent phenomenon. This has been going on for quite some time.
Wasn't there also one in 1895, or is that the one you were just saying? There was a similar one where they thought it was like a flying something, and it was very similar story, and it was before the Wright brothers, so they were like, they couldn't have been, anything else.
There was, and actually, I have a friend named John LeMay, and shout out to him. He's done several books about UFO sightings through the 19th and early 20th century, including apparently there was one that was over the Titanic before it hit the iceberg. Whether it had anything to do with the iceberg, I don't know. But
wow.
These things have been going on for quite some time. Certainly in the U.S., as I said, since the Pilgrims. They had some weird sightings in the 19th century, but of course the 20th century is when things really got out of hand. But you want to know, I was thinking, like, what was the first time that UFOs actually got into the popular culture? Because instead of these strange isolated incidents, when did people start to think, wait a minute, there are spaceships flying about our sky? And apparently it was H.G. Wells with the book War of the Worlds in 1898. And that's the first time they had aliens visiting our planet in spacecraft, and not friendly aliens either. They're not coming over to borrow a cup of sugar. They're coming over to take over the planet.
Yeah.
And this was the first time that we had the notion of spaceships within our planetary system. So that was quite interesting. And of course, War of the Worlds, another Wells named Orson Welles did a radio play in 1938 about that, and he scared half of America out of its wits because people were listening to this radio show. And Wells did it as sort of a documentary type of a show, and people thought that this was a real news broadcast, and they thought that aliens were invading the Earth, and that actually they were landing in New Jersey, and which was, of all places, why New Jersey? I mean, you're coming from the other side of the universe, and you finally come to a planet that has life in it. I mean, think of it from the aliens' perspective, because you're far beyond the galaxy, and you come into our galaxy. You go to Pluto, which is a planet, despite what the astronomers say, and there's no life there. You go to Neptune, there's no life there. You go to Uranus, you go to Saturn. You finally come to Earth. Where on Earth do you go you go to New Jersey?
Well, I think if anything, if they are doing research here and they're cataloging, they may say the first place to start is the armpit of America.
Well, it's another orifice, but we won't get into that because there might be families watching tonight. But New Jersey,
Phil, I want to ask you something, because it's interesting. You mentioned how you have a friend who wrote this book, but the concept of there being an alien sighting on the Titanic, and then the reality that we know that they're also USPs, I think, which is the underwater. These things go now, USOs. They literally go underwater. And perhaps this was a takedown of the Titanic from underneath, and it had nothing to do with the glacier. That would be a pretty cool story, or a movie.
That would be a great movie. I don't think James Cameron would make it, but it's interesting because I don't think what they saw in the sky actually had anything to do, unless the navigator was distracted and wound up sailing into an iceberg, which is a unique theory. But apparently some people saw some weird light. And the funny thing is that when you try to speak to authorities about UFOs, it's like there's always some sort of benign explanation. It's like, oh, it's a reflection of the moon. It's some sort of it's a fighter jet that's flying. It's a meteor. It's this and that. And what happened in the congressional hearing that happened earlier this week is that there are a couple of hundred incidents where you can't really explain it away. It's not a weather balloon. It's not this. It's not that. It's like, we don't know what it is. It's not Russian. It's not Chinese. It's not Israeli. It's certainly not Canadian. But it's they're not going to say that it came from, because that might be a bit on the wacky side. But whatever it is, there are things that have been flying around in the skies for quite a long time. And you want to know something? Also, being a kid from the 1970s, one of my favorite movies of that era, which is actually in the Benzinga article I wrote, was something called Chariots of the Gods. And I don't know if you've ever seen the film or if you ever heard of the movie. That was a film, yeah, that planted the seed that ancient civilizations in Egypt and Central and South America were influenced by extraterrestrials who just happened to come down to the planet 1,000 years before the Common Era, and gave the folks tips on how to build pyramids and whatnot, and then just disappeared. And that film came out. I actually saw that film at the Dale Theater in the Bronx in 1974. That's the kind of impact it made on me. And, you know, for a 10-year-old back in the 70s, this was real heady experience. Like, wow, who would have thought the pyramids were built by aliens? Of course. I watched the film today, and the movie has a very different impact on me. It's they don't make films like this anymore, and I'm sort of glad that they don't. But it planted the seeds in a lot of people's heads that somehow or other the ancient civilizations were not as bright as we'd like to think they were, and they had help from the folks on the other side of the galaxy. And of course, if you watch the History Channel, there's that show Ancient Aliens with the guy who has the hair that's like 3 feet tall.
Yeah, Giorgio
talking about how extraterrestrials helped George Washington and Stalin and Napoleon and whatnot. And this is History Channel too, so I don't know whose history it is, but it makes a great entertainment.
It is very much a great entertainment. But what I would say about the Egypt, and you're talking about the pyramids, they still don't know how we built the pyramids. But I do believe the geometry and the mathematical precision that these people worked with, and there's no seam, like on the seams there's no air. It's like it's perfectly cut, and then there's lots of different hieroglyphs that show something flying in the sky, and they show things like purses, and they show phones, and lots of things to show that there were civilizations prior that had technology like us, and they probably destroyed themselves, which is where we're on the track to going ourselves, right? I would say it seems that we as humans don't know how to wield our power, and we just destroy instead of learning how to come together and see a prosperous planet. It just becomes a very greedy. Oh, we have 10 minutes left. This is saying becomes a very greedy experience in this life of ours. And the more people that walk the planet and are trying to grab on to whatever's left over, you're talking about the supplies of this planet are being eaten up by the amount of people, which is probably why these elites are trying to make moves like they're making. But I agree. There's a lot of crazy stuff out there. We don't know what's real. I would say, though, that the first real sightings, this has probably been going on for millions of years, where we're seeing technology that, like you said, we can't comprehend. No one can comprehend.
Yeah. And, I mean, if you go back to the sacred texts of the major world religions, there are flying chariots. Of course, Ezekiel with the wheel within the wheel, and Enoch was taken up into the heavens. How he got there, I don't know. I don't think they had Amtrak then, but whatever it was, it's this has been going on, and there's always been some sort of belief that there is a life beyond ours, and actually. It's funny because H.G. Wells was not the first person to think of people living outside of our galaxies. In fact, in the 2nd century AD, there was a Greek writer named Lucian of Samosata who wrote a novella called A True Story, in which he, or as the narrator of the story at least, went to the moon and actually conversed with the people who lived on the moon, who were having a war with the people who lived in the sun. So this is something that's always fascinated people from the time that we've had literature.
Yeah,
it's not something new, and it's interesting because when I grew up as a kid in the 70s, this suddenly became a phenomenon. Actually, that wasn't the first time. It was in the post-World War II era in the 1940s, late 40s, that people started reporting sightings of what they called flying saucers. In 1947, there's a man named Kenneth Arnold who was a private pilot who saw 9 of these things while flying around Mount Rainier in Washington. And then photos started showing up in newspapers claiming that these were pictures of the UFOs. And a lot of people said, oh, well, you don't know what you're looking at. These are hoax photos. But then in 1950, there was a guy named Nick Mariana in Montana who actually filmed 2 lights going across the sky in the middle of the day in Great Falls, Montana. And this was the first film footage that we have of UFOs. And since then, of course, there have been countless films and videos. And that's actually what sparked the congressional hearing, is because the military's been videotaping these things and they can't explain what they are.
Yeah, and I think what's great about the technology we all have access to now is anybody can point and shoot their camera, and the HD quality we all have now, we're able to get some pretty good footage. There's a couple videos out there that have really been freaking me out. I don't know if they're real or not, you know, things that just look so crazy. Like you see portals opening up in our sky and UFOs going through them and leaving our atmosphere in some way, like, but I don't know, is that CGI or is that really what they're able to do and what we're able to do? There's another crazy one I saw on TikTok where someone found a portal on our planet where you can see right through it, and if you go into it, it stays open for like an hour or something like that, but I don't know if you're on Earth or if you're somewhere else, a different dimension. Another one, similar thing happens and you wind up being in San Diego and the sky there looking over the ocean. And it's been known that there are a bunch of portals there in San Diego in this one specific area. Apparently this thing opens up into one of those portals. So it's a lot of crazy stuff. Again, I don't know if it's just CGI and people messing with people, which probably is more realistic. But there's a lot that we can definitely explore here on this topic. I would say the one overarching, you know, feeling I get on this is that we are in this it's a huge planet, but small when it's you start looking at the universe and you start looking at the galaxy, and we're just one galaxy and how many billions of galaxies, and this universe is ever expanding. And I saw this it was just like some sort of animated look. Okay, here's the Earth, and then you start moving out. Holy freaking cow, it keeps going, Phil, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, but all of these different stars and suns that have different planets revolving around them, and we're the only ones out there. Come on, you know, I used to always say it's ignorant to think that we're the only things out there, you know.
It is. And you know, it's funny, when I started writing for Benzinga last year, at the beginning of 2021, one of the first news stories I did actually was about UFOs. Apparently there was an American Airlines flight going over New Mexico, which has a normally large number of sightings, and the pilot on the flight spotted a UFO, and this craft was following the airline. And I was, in a way, I was sort of sympathetic to the people on the plane because I've flown American Airlines, and if I had a choice of flying American Airlines or flying on an alien spacecraft, you can guess where I'd rather be.
Yeah, well, plus also think about the story you could write if you were on that ship, right, Phil? Yeah. Right, you're there, and you're like, look, alien, how many fingers you got? What are you doing over there? You know, like there's a guy, Travis, I can't think of his last name. Remember, he was abducted. It was the movie was made about him, right? Close Encounters of the Third Kind, I believe. One of those movies.
Oh, yeah. Made. And it's funny, you know, I saw first Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Third Kind, yeah. When it first opened, I'm getting a little bit jumbled in my speech because I'm so excited. I saw Close Encounters of the Third Kind when it first opened in 1977, the opening weekend, and it was funny because I went down to the Ziegfeld Theater in New York City to see it, and apparently the screening before the one I attended, it was a special screening for the United Nations delegations. So all of these diplomats from around the world came to see this movie about alien abductions. And well, that was the beauty of the 70s. It was, I get nostalgic for that decade, but we can always do another show about that.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. You know, I wanted to, I just thought of something too. I wanted to remind you, because of what's happening with the stock market and with crypto specifically right now, I mentioned, guys, in case you don't know, Phil Hall is amazing for many reasons, but he also did a review of Supermark versus Batmark, which was such a kind thing to go and actually watch that and write a review on it. Because of what's happening with crypto, it may be a good time if you have the chance ever to take a look at The Wolf of Crypto. I'm basically rug pulling people. It's like just a comedy, but that's what's happening right now. All these crypto coins, people are pulling their money out and screwing a lot of people over. That's what it's a comedy, but now it's become reality. It's kind of crazy. But that one I think you may enjoy, especially with what's going on with the stock market. Maybe an interesting article to pop out there, a review on The Wolf of Crypto. Even if it's not a review, I think you may enjoy that one. That one's because of what's happening in the world right now. Now, did you watch any of this alien disclosure stuff? Were you watching any of the footage?
Well, I've seen some of the footage prior to the hearing. What inspired it, the Navy footage, the black and white videos where the fighter jet pilots couldn't figure out what they were looking at. But, I didn't watch the hearings because I know they're not going to say, oh, it's from outside of the planet. But just connect the dots. It's not the U.S. military with a super secret jet. It's not the Russians. It's not the Chinese. It's not the Israelis. Nobody else on this planet. Well, then where did it come from? If no one on the planet created these crafts, it had to come from somewhere. And it's clearly on camera, so it's not an optical illusion.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. And I mean, there's lots of other theories. Admiral Byrd wound up finding what he called Hollow Earth, where he said there's another civilization within the planet. Some people think maybe he went beyond like an ice wall and he found more land that we just are not able to access beyond Antarctica. There's just a lot of weird theories out there. It's funny, when I was on JetBlue last month, I saw a couple TikToks in this. So now every time I see a pilot, I ask this, I'm like, hey, any curvature up there? Just curious, and every single one's like, no, it's flat as a pancake up there. And I'm like, I know we're so close to it that it's impossible to see, but I truly believe that this planet is either so much bigger than they tell us it really is, or it's not flat, but it's not a sphere. It's some different weird thing that we can't really comprehend, but we are living on the surface of that thing and not underneath it. Like, I think that would be, I still can't comprehend that China's right below us. And you know what I mean? They're not, I don't know. None of it makes sense anymore. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't here to talk about the inner Earth. I mean, when you're talking about that, I'm reminded of another film from the 70s, actually, Godzilla versus Megalon, where there was a kingdom called the Cetopians who lived under the Earth, and they wanted to take over the Earth by way of Japan using the monster Megalon. But that's the show.
Hey, but you know what? Shows become reality a lot.
Yeah.
No, but I do think
reality is very objective. Yeah.
It could be, though, if there was some other, some sort of civilization that's occupied. Oh, no. Phil, call me back. We got to get Phil back on here. Hold on. I'm starting a new meeting. Let me see if Phil's still here. I'm going back in. Hold on. Nah. Phil, call back, brother. We've got to finish this talk. The civilization, guys, when you're talking about it, like, do you guys realize how big the Amazon is? There's so much there in the Amazon that we could never comprehend or actually explore. I think they said they've only explored 1% of the Amazon. Let's see if Phil gives us a ring back so we can finish this conversation. Phil, same exact info to get back in. I'm going to finish this chat and then we'll do another one, because this is a lot of fun for me. Especially, we have lots of other things. Here we go. Phil's back. Okay. There you go, buddy.
Here I am. I don't know what happened. I'll just.
You know what it was? It's that silly 40-minute thing. I think I had us on hold for too long. Let me see. I'm going to ask you to start the video. There we go. There we go. So basically what I was trying to say before I was rudely interrupted by Zoom is there could be, I've heard only 1% of the Amazon's been explored. So theoretically, even if the planet was exactly the size they say it is, there could be other civilizations we just haven't found that are living other places on the planet, And Antarctica is a place they will not let us go and explore. You can only go to 1% of Antarctica. I don't know why, and maybe you've done research on this, but why in the entire last 100+ years, the one thing this entire world was able to get together on was a treaty that allowed nobody to go to Antarctica. It's a weird thing, right?
It is a weird thing because it was the one area of the world that wasn't claimed by anyone. Because prior to that, the European nations and the United States were colonists and were going out.
Wait, is that you or me? I hear, is there audio on somewhere?
I don't know. It's hold on.
I'm getting feedback now. I don't know if it's your YouTube.
Okay, that might be me. Is this better now?
Yeah, that's better. Perfect.
Okay, live broadcasting is endless problems. But I don't know. I mean, prior to the 1950s, we're still getting feedback. I think it's not me.
Yeah, I'm hearing a little feedback too. You know what? On your Zoom, on the top left corner, look where it says audio and look and see if yours says original sound or if it says. Do you see anything like that on your Zoom? Top left
corner. No, I see Mark Cyrus's personal meeting room, so I don't.
I hear you better now, but yeah, I put it on. It should be better audio, but it's coming through a little crunchy. Yeah, keep going. Basically, I'm curious to hear because you know more about this subject. How could why would they not let people go to Antarctica?
I don't know because, well, of course, prior to the 1950s, the European nations and the United States were all colonial powers. But after World War II, they started giving up the colonies. The only area of the planet that wasn't claimed was Antarctica. And because there was the Cold War between the West and the Soviet Union, they decided to just call it off limits to everybody. And so Antarctica was never colonized.
So, and to date now, there's this treaty where no one can go. You can go to apparently 1% of Antarctica, but you're not allowed to explore. You're not allowed to see what's there, and do research. There's also an interesting story I heard about ice in Antarctica. You may want to research this one because this could be a cool story to write on. But there's something called sky ice, and you may want to look at this. So we have normal ice we know, which is transparent, and then there's this sky ice, which looks like the sky. It's beautiful, this blue ice, and you could only find it in Antarctica because that's where it's cold enough to find this apparently. And once you take it away from that environment, it immediately melts, and so you can't get it out of there. This is the only place the researchers can go and look at it. And when they had someone from like National Geographic come and look at it and to do a story on Antarctica with them, they said that that's the only time the researchers would show them the regular ice, and they would talk about, look at this glacier, But as soon as any eyes were gone, they would take, all their time would be on this sky ice. Something to look at and see if it's real or not. I don't know.
It is. It's funny you mentioned Antarctica because another article I did for the Benzinga website was about the discovery of the Shackleton ship, which was stuck in the ice back in, was it 1913, 1914? And the Shackleton expedition, they were stranded there, but they managed to get out of Antarctica and come back to safety and without any loss of human life. So that's one of the funny things about Benzinga, because it is a financial website. We cover crypto, as you mentioned, we cover the stock market, but we also cover funky stuff like UFOs and Antarctica, and movies, and even had something today about the Pope saying that he would like to have a shot of tequila because he has knee problems and he feels that he'd rather take tequila to soften the pain than taking pharmaceuticals.
It's interesting that the CIA put out a 23-page document back in 2003 that was finally declassified in 2019. And within it, they talked about the mind, and they talked about all kinds of things, transcendental meditation and all these things. One of them was how to get rid of pain. And they said, if you look at where you have pain and you repeat and just look at it, if it's your wrist, for example, a couple weeks ago, my hand was hurting. I should do this. Look at it. And you say 55515 over and over while you're looking at the part of your body that hurts. And apparently your pain goes away.
55515? Really?
Yeah. And you know what? I did this.
I've read Mary Baker Eddy's Christian Science writings, but I never heard of 55515. That's a new one on me.
You know what you should do is, and I got to look at this fully. The only reason I'm bringing this up is because I pulled this up like 6 hours ago. I can't wait to read it. It's 23 pages long, and I saw and someone mentioned that that's what the code 55515. But they figured out all these hacks that your mind can do. And for some reason, they declassified it so anybody has access to it now. And it was after all the research they did on Project Looking Glass and all these. They were doing this remote viewing, basically. And they talked about how you can do that. Like, so I can't wait to dig into this. And again, if anything comes up and they've given you some sort of inside information, we'd all be crazy not to at least look at it. The CIA sharing some sort of mind hack. Yeah, you should go and download that piece. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do it. But that was pretty interesting. 55515. And I only remember that because I thought that was an interesting, segment, the 55515 number. I'm not sure what that means, but, I've heard like Tesla had his 369 combo. You say something three times a day. No, was it three?
I wish I had learned this earlier, because when I was preparing for the show, I was actually shaving about a half hour before coming on camera, and I dropped a can of shaving cream on my toes.
Oh my God!
Nothing was broken, but it hurt, and so I'm thinking now, if I had said 55515. To the toes a couple of times, it would stop hurting. But
I think it's a good test. It's a good test. Like next time I bang my knee or something, I'm freaking looking at that knee, Phil, for 7 hours and 14 minutes. And I'm saying 55515. That's what I'm doing. So brother, what I'd like to do is we should make this like a monthly thing or every couple, whatever. We just got to do more stories because what's interesting. Someone was talking to me the other day. It was my brother-in-law of all people. And he said, you've got 2,200 pieces of content. He goes, it's a good thing you're doing 30-minute mark now, because you've got so much, you got a reservoir of content that you could lean on now. Just because you put it out 2 years ago, how many people have seen that piece of content? I was like, I don't know, 35. He's like, yeah, it's a new piece of content. And so the way you have to sometimes think about it is something we created that was really good, but nobody saw it, is a great piece of content that's still brand new to the world. So 170 songs, even though I think they're old now because I'm writing new stuff, they're all brand new to every single person on the planet. So even when I play this song, that song is new to everybody on the planet. I wrote it in 2006. You know what I mean? So
if you're hearing it for the first time, it's new to you.
Yeah,
so,
and that's
I know,
beautiful.
I understand that. Yes.
And so
actually, for people watching, wondering why I'm looking to the side of the screen, I see the chat room going on. To the folks out there, thank you so much for being in the audience tonight, and thumbs up to you folks for listening to me and being patient while I disappeared and came back. So it's always great to have an audience.
You're awesome, Phil. It's always great having you to chat with. And, we have to collaborate more, because I always see this connection where, again, you're out there talking about what's happening in the world, and I'm trying to change the world. And so I feel like together we're going to do something pretty cool, and it's going to wind up elevating both of us at the same time. I don't know how it's going to happen or what's going to happen, but I feel like it's going to be.
It works for me, and definitely. I'd love to come back. I mean, this is show number 1234. So 12. It took me a while to get here, but here I am, and I don't. Now that I'm here, I don't want to leave.
Yeah, you're not going till day 12 or 2468. You're coming back very, very soon. But yeah, you know what? I think that what would be cool is like a discussion, and this could be a cool thing too if we take calls and get into some topics too at some point. But it's always good to chat with somebody who's got an appreciation for the arts. Especially, it's funny, a few times I talk about there's frustration you have when you've been doing this for so long and they just keep the world from you. And a few times I'm like, and Phil's like, you better not stop, keep going. This is good. Keep going, and just the positive support that you get from people like Phil is great, because, I
have to point out that I am disappointed in you, Mark, because for the past 1,234 shows, I wanted to hear you sing "Crabs for Christmas," and I have yet to get the song in.
Crabs for. I need the lyrics right now. Hold on, we're gonna write a version of it right now. I'm pulling up the lyrics. Hold on a second.
Okay, I pull up the lyrics too. So let me go see.
Crabs for Christmas. Yeah, guys, Phil's been asking for this since like literally the first 6 months of the show.
Yeah. I got the lyrics here if you want.
Yeah, let me see. I think I pulled them up too. Let me just see if I got
Got it?
the.
In a department store north of Houston. Yeah.
Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay, here we go.
Oh.
I actually can't use this guitar. It's so out of tune. So this is going to be just like every other live improv song, except there are lyrics for me to work off of here,
Yeah.
which could
But
be
you
interesting.
don't know the music you don't know the melody, so that's
No, that's why it's going to be interesting. I'm going to do my own vibe on it, and I don't have a pick. Where's my
all
pick?
right. If you folks get bored, go see what Mr. Beast is doing. I'm sure he's having some fun tonight, but
Yeah.
we'll try and grab some Christmas.
This is bad. Oh, here we go. New strings. Okay, here we go. All right, so we have to feel the vibe out here, okay? So crabs for Christmas would be like. In the department store.
Oh, this is what happens when you don't rehearse the show.
No, I don't even know how this goes. I'm going to come up with a better chord progression than that. Let's see. In a department store north of Houston, sat a Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. Sat a Santa Claus, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so this got to be a major tune. You can't. Okay, here we go. In a department store north of Houston, sat a Santa Claus on Christmas Eve. In a minute, he knows the front door will close, and this tired old Santa can't pack up and leave. But this big fella came out of nowhere, and he sat right down on Santa's knee. The whole place stopped dead as the big fella said, "Dear Santa, I appreciate you listening to me." And he said, "Oh, I want crabs for Christmas, so only crabs will do. A man with crabs for Christmas, my Christmas wish will come true." Well, that Santa, he started perspiring, and he looked like he might be in pain, and his face got all stiff, and he asked the man if he would take just a moment and kindly explain. Well, the man said, "You know, I'm from Maryland, yeah, and them crabs is what I'm itching for. Don't you know, Santa dear, oh, with steamed crabs and beer, it would feel like a trip back to old Baltimore. Baltimore, oh, I want crabs for Christmas, only crabs will do. Oh, I want crabs for Christmas, yeah, yeah. My Christmas will come true. Round the corner come two big policemen, and they saw the man on Santa's lap. Well, they reached for his throat and the bowling coat, and they picked him, losing his Oreo cap. Santa cried, "Put him down right this instant. Yeah, now my boy, what you want's not so hard, but there's no crabs to make. So we'll hop on my sleigh and we'll fly to New England, where I'll get want you scrod, no, not scrod. Oh, I want crabs for Christmas. Oh, only crabs will do. Oh, crabs, I want crabs for Christmas. Oh, Christmas will come true. Christmas will show. Whistle, what's that? Oh. I want crabs for Christmas, yeah. Oh, crabs for Christmas.
Brilliant. Brilliant. It took me 1,234 days, but I'm satisfied.
You know what, Phil? It's craziest thing is that if I did it any other time, it wouldn't have been like that. You know? So
Brilliant.
It happened.
Brilliant.
And the good thing is now that we could take that and maybe we should release that on next year's Christmas album. I think we have to, actually. You know?
We'll have to just basically make sure that the songwriter gets his proper royalties. But yeah. It was just...
I think that would be a good one. That would be a good one to put on. I don't usually put cover songs. I haven't done any cover songs on an album yet, but Crabs for Christmas may make the cut next year. I don't think I'm writing another Christmas. I mean, I got my one Christmas album done, and I think I'm good on that. But that was, it's funny, but I didn't put an album out for 13 years, and I always wanted to do a Christmas album. That was the one thing I was like, every Christmas would come. And I'm like, man, why don't I do an album, a Christmas album, even if I just played Silent Night and stuff. And instead, that's what I planned on doing. I was like, I'm going to do Little Drummer Boy. And, Christmas time came, and I wrote 13 songs, 15 songs, really.
No, everyone's done Drummer Boy and Silent Night and all. Do something original. Do something that's what makes the show so special. It's original. You're not doing what everybody else is doing. You're doing your own thing, and that's the secret to success. It may take a while for people to find it, but if you're doing what you're doing and you are what you are, you'll stand out from the crowd.
I appreciate that, brother. Yeah, I really do love following my intuition. I don't like. I actually almost specifically like doing the opposite of what everybody else is doing. It's so weird.
I do that. That's been my career. I mean,
I think you're
if
the
you
same.
Look at the Benzinga site. We have articles about crypto and stock markets, and then there's me writing about UFOs. So I'm glad that I have a platform where I could be iconoclastic, but it makes me stand out, and that what you're doing makes you stand out.
I appreciate that, brother. I think that's why you and I connect absolutely, as I do see you the same way. You definitely don't follow the norm. Like whatever someone's doing, Phil's going to go out there and he's going to put his own spin on it. And I feel like it's not even your own spin. It's just you being you. And at the end of the day, every single one of us we have this uniqueness to us. And if you could really envelop it and you could say, you know what, I'm going to just accept that I am who I am and I'm going to become everything I'm meant to be. That's Phil Hall. And that's what I do every day for 1,234 days in a row is live in the moment and create something. And I hope that stuff like what we just did keeps happening,
Indeed. And I'm glad to be here, and I certainly want to be back. And thanks to the folks for watching tonight. I've been in the audience. Now I'm here on the stage, and I don't want to be back in the audience. I want to stay on the stage, but it's not my show.
We're going to have you back on real soon, brother. But I do love seeing you whenever you are able to make it in. It is usually late for Phil because we although I'm trying to get on earlier and it's a shorter show. That's why I appreciate when you guys come out here and realizing now that it's not, 2.5 hours. I don't have time to watch. No, it's 30 minutes. And right now we're at 48, but it's going to end before an hour today. And they won't be over an hour really ever, except for maybe Saturday Night Lives. And the intention is to get people to say, you know what, I'm going to find 30 minutes in my day to watch what happens on the Renaissance Man show. I can't find 2 hours. And I get it. I don't watch the shows over after I do them either. I can't spend 2 hours watching my show over that I did last night. So I go in there and I find those 2-3 bits that are really great, cut them out, and then I release them for you guys. Which, by the way, we dropped on earlier today. I don't know if you guys saw it. Not many people saw it yet, but it was pretty crazy. I'm going to play it over. I'm going to give you guys the link after Phil leaves the show. But Phil, love you, buddy. And let's connect again like we've been doing offline. And whenever you write something, which is every day, but any stories you think would be really fun, even if it's one that you're not on for. You know what I thought would be even cool one day, Phil, is like, because what's been fun is when I put the story on the full screen and I'm there in the corner and then the scrolling and reading it like with the stupid reads I do, the cold reads. I thought would be cool is one day we could take one of your stories and I'll scroll and read it and have you on, and we could do a chat while I'm scrolling so everybody could read what you wrote. We could try that one day too. So we could do lots of fun things here. And like, cause I'd like a call-in idea of giving some feedback through the phone line as well. So we could try so many different things here, but the most important thing is we got the first one.
Indeed, and I want to be on a show with Fauci. I want to be part of the and Supermark. I mean, I want to be in the studio. I love being here in this little Zoom box, but I want to be part of the action as well because now I've got a taste of it, and it satiated my hunger, and I want more.
My friend, we're going to definitely do it. And yeah, one of these days I'll be able to have a facility where we can have people in. You know, like this is my house in a basement, so it's like it's one of these days I'm never gonna stop. So one day some guy's gonna come along and say, let's do something. I'll be like, okay, where's the facility? I'll show up there every day and do the show. And yeah, we know I got to talk to you. We did talk about this once or twice before, but I got to pick your brain on how I could write myself a little bit of a publicist, just layout. So I feel like there should be some journalists out there that would like to write a story about a guy who's been live for 1,234 days in a row. And
well, I've been writing about you over and over.
No, I know.
It's time for somebody else to take over, but certainly we'll think about this. We'll brainstorm offline. But Mark, thank you so much for having me on your show tonight, and thank you for giving a plug to Benzinga and shout out to the folks at Benzinga, Mr. Raznick, Mr. Jacoby, Mr. Shubnell, and all the folks who put up with my my nonsense.
Well, look, I want to say a personal note to them. While I actually tagged you guys, Benzinga today, I put you all over the tags on the YouTube. And yeah, keep doing what you guys are doing out there. And you hired an amazing journalist in Phil Hall, a very unique voice and somebody who's going to show up and he's going to deliver for you. So kudos to that. And we will be having him back with more Benzinga stories that he's releasing. This is a really cool aspect to the show is bringing in your journalistic creativity and doing stories and having you on to talk about it. So, like, that's awesome. I'm so excited about that. Plus, we're in the same town. It's like you said, one of these days, you know what we should do one of these days, Phil? This could be cool, is they'll set up a camera and we'll do it outdoors. Like, you know what I mean? We'll meet at the park or something. And you know what I'm saying? We could do like Phil and Mark in the park. And we're chatting it out in the park at a park bench talking about one of your stories or something. They could be a cool thing.
Well, that would be cool. Or we could do, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah.
But we'll certainly reconnect.
We'll figure it out for sure. Brother, I appreciate you and have a great night. Yeah, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Take care. Guys, the great Phil Hall. Oh my goodness. You can't get better than Phil Hall here on the Renaissance Man Show. Unbelievable. So guys, thank you so much for joining my brother Phil here. And yeah, Phil and I connected a while back and he wrote a great story about what I was doing about 1 year into the show. It literally was 1 year into the show, I think, when he wrote the first story on the show. I think it's been the only story on this show is what Phil has done. So that's why I was asking, because I feel like other journalists, like around the country, bloggers should be writing about the guy who shows up every freaking day. And nobody writes stories about it. Nobody knows that it's going on. So I feel like if people start writing stories, then it'll make other people aware of it and they'll start finding us here. And we're going to start doing more stuff like that with Phil and other people who are passionate about things and bring them in and share something. Guys, remember the album. My next album's coming out next week. I'm going to play you a quick track. I think I saw my brother, Little Mark, here. Guys, Little Mark, I've known since I was 5 years old. Or was I 7? Whatever it was. I think I was 7. And he was 5 in New Jersey. And he's standing there was like a pile of dirt by the house. My father was building a house there when we were kids. And I'm 7. And he's 5. He's there with a freaking baseball bat on his shoulder. He's like, you want to play baseball? This is the end of it. Been friends since, And so anybody who's like shows up by a freaking big pile of dirt and is like, you want to play baseball? To me, he was like biggest baseball. I loved baseball. Mark knows. I pitched and played shortstop and really I had dreams of doing something at that. Like I think Mark knows, I really was like so passionate about baseball. And at a time when I was the same size as everybody else, I dominated. And then once everybody hit puberty and I didn't until senior year of high school, that was tough. That was interesting. Walking the halls as a senior. Yo, what's up, Mark? Hey guys, how's it going? Yeah, no, I'm just here getting ready for the basketball game. Hairless Mark over here. Yeah, senior year in it. But I always thought it was pretty interesting that my two best friends in high school, all three of us would hang out on a daily and weekly basis. And all three of us hit puberty like late in senior year. It was so weird because everybody else like hits puberty in like freshman, sophomore year and like their freaking senior year. But also my other two best friends were too. And it's like, that's odd, so I don't know. How they say that women, they get their periods to start going in line. Like when you hang out with another woman, you guys start getting your period at the same time. I think guys are the same. You don't hit puberty. I should have been hanging out with like the dudes, like the men, and it would have been a different story for me as a kid. But anyway, that's a side story, Renaissance Man show. Did you guys see what happened when I put out this Amber Heard story thing? I'm just going to quickly give you the link. You guys need to see what happened. This was dropped earlier. Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard live. I'm just going to quickly show you what happened here. Give you the link so you guys can go and watch this later. This is some craziness. This is some craziness right here. And it's all comedy, but realistically what I realized is I don't even talk about these two.
Amber.
That I did, but check this out real quick.
So I've got my essay written, and I've been working on it for about a week. So now I'm going to show you how I use Grammarly
I got to tell that one. Tell it, Friff, I told you I wanted to give me a heads up first. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Mark Pyers, Channel 7 News. I'm here at the courtroom, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard. It's crazy. This lifestyle that we're dealing with here, it's hard to understand. We're talking about Adreno. We're talking about parties where they do things that you really don't want to talk about. You think about maybe in movies, they're doing things. Yeah, they are. It's Hollywood. That's what's going. What, Telefriff? What do you mean you cut me off mid-monologue talking about the Hollywood elite? You're not. I got it. I can't deal with you anymore, Telefriff. Hold on a minute. Freaking Telefriffin. Freaking Ed Wood. Eric. It's Mark Pyers. I'm here. I'm at the courtroom. I'm trying to do a freaking story, and Telefriffin, he took me off the air. Yeah, no, I was just why can't I make a comment about? My contract does not say that. No. I don't need you to read line by line through my contract. I've memorized it, okay? Line 7, Part B. No, I don't need you to send me your version, which is actually the original, okay? Because I have a photocopied version in my mind. Yeah, no, Eric, that's fine. Can you just tell Telefriffin to never take me off the air again and to give me a roll-in? I'm here. All I'm asking is for a roll-in because I don't want to be taken off guard when I got people watching me at home. 7 million strong, the highest rated show on TV. We know it. You don't want to tune into anything except for the Mark Pyers Report. We get it. Yeah. No, I know I'm getting an Emmy again. Look, Eric, I appreciate that. I do. But I'm trying to do a report here, okay? I appreciate that I'm your favorite reporter of all time. And that all you do is watch my reports. I appreciate that, Eric. I do. But I got to get back to it, okay? Yeah, no, I'm going to tell Telefriffin now that he's the worst since Ed Wood. And we're going to keep going. Yeah. All right, thanks, Eric. Yeah, no, Telefriffin, you're fired after this. We're going to get somebody else over here. Maybe McGreedyson is not busy tonight, and we can get him over here to finish this up. It's Mark Pyers. What? I'm not. Okay, just give me a roll-in. Give me a lead-in. You let me know when I'm live, because I'm ready to go. I'm fired up, and you're not giving me the lead-in. 3, 2. And then you do Scooperoo. Do a Scooperoo. So you do a 3, 2. And then you do that. Like, why would you do that when you could be like, you don't want to do a lasso? And then throw it to me. You throw the lasso to me, and I'm ready to do the report. What's that? No, I get it. You know, you really think that you're the greatest lawyer of all time. We get it. You did a good job. We're going to talk about you in a minute. I'm just waiting to go live, so just relax back there. You can't take your eyes off me, though. A little weird. It's a little weird. Seriously, can you do me a favor? I'm about to do a report, and I would appreciate if you'd stop the staring. You know? Guys, when you're doing a report here, Channel 7 News, and you got a freaking lurker, you know? It's kind of weird. These people at least are being a little bit more like nonchalant about listening in. They know what I'm doing. They're ready for the Channel 7 News report. They just don't want to be on camera, you know? Which I can appreciate. I'd like to do, I'm the camera guy, okay? No, I know you do the camera too, and you're good in front of it, and you did a great job here representing your client. You know? What's that, tell her? Okay, no, you don't. You went to a freaking another commercial. Can you let me on the air? I'm gonna run out of energy. I'm ready to go now. And you're just like, oh, we went to another commercial. Freaking Ed Wood. You know? What's that? Oh no, look, I'm not gonna give my opinions yet. Okay, that comes out in a moment when we go live. But currently, I'm sitting here just waiting for Telefriend to give me a lasso and give me the, you know, like he's going bowling and he wants to do like a DeJesus from The Big Lebowski. You know, I'm waiting for it, but I'm not gonna hold my breath. I'm sorry. Oh no, if there was some sort of, I lost consciousness or something, I would absolutely call you to represent me. I get it. You're like, I'm looking for business. I get it. What do I do after Johnny Depp? I get it. Okay, we're doing it. We're here, ready for the challenge. What? I'm live again. Telefrip supposed to give me a 3, 2, 1 with a lasso. How long do I have to ask you for a freaking lasso? Or at least if you worst case scenario, you're going, and then you roll it to me like bocce. But I'm here, Channel 7 News, Mark Pyers. We're back with our story of the night. Amber Heard, Johnny Depp, who done it, right? We heard a lot during this case. We heard a lot of he said, she said. And at the end of the day, it's up to you whether or not he did it or she did it, you know? And look, I got my opinions. I'm not supposed to give them to you, apparently. Channel 7 News contract style. Look, they're like, all right, we're going to take you off the air if you talk about those things. Look, I'm just trying to do me. You know what I mean? What's that? No, you can't be in the show. He wants to come on during the freaking report. Listen, when you're doing Channel 7 News report, you don't need a freaking, like a wingman. All right? What are you doing, Robin from Batman? All right, I'm Batmark, and another thing, and I don't need a sidekick, okay? I'm doing it. I'm in the middle of it, okay? So Channel 7 News, we're in, this is courtroom situation here, okay? I'm in the middle of it, I'm just waiting for Johnny to turn in my direction, Hey, Johnny! Looking good over there. What are you working on? Are you drawing something? Doing a piece of artwork for your attorney? I appreciate that. No! Joanne, my friggin' microphone is dying! Hold on, no. Channel 7 News. We're apparently having some issues here with our microphone. And you're not going to be able to hear the rest of the show. So I'm going to have to do it extra loud. Telefrip, can't you just beef up the microphone so when I'm doing it, they can hear me? I'm in the middle. What's that? This guy wants to be in so badly. Look, I get it. Maybe if you win, we'll let you in. No ads.
Try this strange 10-second technique tonight to reverse type 2 diabetes. Most people can...
All right, let's get back to it. Channel 7 News. Mark Pyers. Microphone died. I gotta use the boom. Who done it? Did he do it? Did she do it? We may never know. We'll probably know tomorrow when they deliberate. No, Telefriff, just let me know when we're back on, you know? I'm here, trying to do the show. Got an issue with the microphone tonight. Telefriff's not helping out. Got Johnny Depp's team over here. Johnny Depp's over there. He won't even give me a friggin' look. Won't even give Mark Pyers' Channel 7 News a look while I'm here doing a story on him and Amber. Look, I just wanted to let you know that this court case is almost over. The distraction is almost complete. And I don't know what happens when this is done and we are forced to look elsewhere. Some other major thing is going to take place, some catastrophe. I'm certain of it, because that's the way this world works. But I just wanted you to know one thing, okay? This show in its entirety is brought to you by Channel 7 News. Mark Pyers and by Menon. Get some speed stick, you know. It's important for you to smell good when you're here inside the courtroom. You can't not smell good for a courtroom appearance. What's that? No, I know they said that Amber didn't smell good that one day. She wasn't farm fresh. So I guess if I could just say one thing before the end of this, I think what I'd have to say when it comes to the case of Depp versus Heard, was she heard? Was she hurt? Was he hurt? What happened? Does anybody know? I see a lot of backpedaling and flip-flopping, and I'm not going to say by who, but you could see on the bit exactly who is doing the flip-flopperoo. But I will be here. Remember, this is a daily news report here from the courtroom while we uncover who heard Depp. Is that the working title, Telefriff, that we're doing? The depth of heard? Telefriff, that's crap. You can't do depth of heard and be like, that's great. It's not good. Okay. So until tomorrow on the next episode of Channel 7 News, the Mark Pyers Report, this is me signing off here with the Johnny Depp Amber Heard deal, and they're going to come to a conclusion tomorrow. They've had their cross-examination, and now we're going to see what the final verdict is. What do you think? Send me a message below, shoot me a comment, share the friggin' hell out of this news report, because this is the one, you know, where we got all the information that you really needed. So until tomorrow, on the next episode of Channel 7 News Mark Pyers News Report, stay safe and stay smart. Till tomorrow. Oh, goodness. Jacqueline may have hit our next home run where I'm the freaking judge. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Tomorrow night I'm the judge. We're making a movie out of this. Bang, biggity boo. Overruled. Sustained. Oh, goodness, famine friends. Tomorrow we do it all over again. Don't forget, make sure you join me day 1, 2, 3, 5 in a row. 1,235 in a row tomorrow. That puts us 65 days from the 1,300th day in a row of the Renaissance Man Show. We are just getting going. Remember, we will have 10,000 people live with us by June 15th. Be a part of that happening. It starts with us. We're going to bring the whole world in. The whole world of positivity. The world who's looking for the moment to take place and doesn't want to be held down by all the distractions. Let them know we exist every day. And I will see you tomorrow. Until then, Kathleen Danford, Lisa May, Jacqueline Grace, thank you for that assist. I cannot wait to do that for you tomorrow. Pamela Swan and Tim Jones, you rock. Tim, change them shorts. Tomorrow we do it all over again. What are we going to create? I don't know. We're going to have to figure it out. Bailiff, bring the defendant in. Till then, fam and friends, it is Mark Pyers. And it's Renaissance, man. You got to go away. I love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow. You got to go away. Yeah. Till tomorrow, fam. Till tomorrow. You got to go away.